I have a distant relative who resides in the countryside, sustaining himself by operating a tractor. I address him as uncle. He lives in a village called Lane 19, several kilometers away from mine. I've only encountered him a few times. The impression he left on me is that of a simple and honest man, reserved in speech, abstaining from alcohol, but indulging in smoking excessively, consuming a pack a day. Though only 40 years old, his hair has turned completely white, devoid of any trace of black. There's a common notion that those who operate tractors dress casually, even sloppily, but not him. He adorns himself daily in a black suit, black trousers, and black leather shoes. Only his face, hands, and hair are pallid. He ventures out with his tractor for hauling only during the dark hours of the night. Nobody knows precisely what goods he transports. He remains unmarried to this day, leading a solitary life. For a period, I heard he befriended someone from afar, later becoming as close as brothers. Strangely, during daylight hours, no one ever saw this individual visit my uncle. Yet, come nightfall, this friend frequently sought my uncle's company for hauling. Rumors abound about such a person, yet no one has laid eyes on him. Lane 19 sits atop a mountain, secluded and inconveniently accessed, with only a single mountain road leading to it, necessitating navigating for significant bends to enter the village. Below these bends lies sheer cliffs, where many out-of-town vehicles have met accidents, some resulting in fatalities, especially during the dark, poorly lit nights. Yet my distant uncle has always remained unscathed, never encountering mishaps. There's a saying, those who frequent the river will inevitably wet their shoes. This time, however, my uncle met with misfortune. The circumstances surrounding it are rather peculiar. It was late at night, well past midnight, rain pouring outside, and a chilling wind blowing, when that mysterious friend with the pallid face hurried to my uncle's home. Whispering something in my uncle's ear, he said, "I'll take you down below." At that moment, a muffled thunderclap sounded from the sky, causing my uncle to shudder involuntarily. What did down below signify? After pondering briefly, he reckoned it must refer to the town below the mountain. So he donned his raincoat and followed the man outside. Starting the tractor, they both sat silently, one on each side of the driver's seat, their faces pallid, not uttering a word. Soon the tractor delved into the profound darkness. They were leaving the village. The two of them sat on the tractor's driver's seat, silently traversing a considerable distance. The night seemed darker, the rain heavier for reasons unknown. My uncle began regretting accompanying him. He couldn't shake off the thought of that phrase, "I'll take you down below." It seemed an unusual manner of speech. Throughout the journey, neither of them removed their raincoats or even their hats. While usually quite chatty, they maintained a silence today that was unsettling. As they progressed, my uncle stole a glance to his left, curious about his friend's demeanor. He discovered the man sitting upright, motionless, his face obscured by the raincoat's hood. The man's head remained stationary, his gaze seemingly fixated on something. Suddenly, a startling notion crossed my uncle's mind. He was being watched. He couldn't help but tremble, his face growing even paler. He decided to test him. Feigning a cough, my uncle received no response from the man. At that moment, the person beside him appeared exceedingly eerie. This mountain road was one my uncle traversed often at night. He was familiar with it, even in the rain. Despite the inclement weather, he successfully negotiated the first 3 bends. Ahead lay the final bend. It was at this last bend that the unexpected occurred. The tractor veered off the road, plunging into the abyss below. Fortunately, my uncle leapt off the tractor in time. After rolling several times on the slippery mountain path, he struck his head against a rock, preventing a fall off the cliff. He lost consciousness instantly. Following such a significant accident, many relatives visited him in the hospital, including myself. When he regained consciousness, he appeared dazed, perhaps even delirious. He screamed incessantly, his expressions altered, claiming he had encountered ghosts. His eyes widened as if witnessing some profound secret. A look of intense fear etched upon his face. He rambled disjointedly, mentioning the events of that fateful night, narrating it like a terrifying tale, sending chills down our spines. As he recounted the moment of the accident, his complexion grew even paler, his body trembling incessantly. He said, "I've been driving a tractor for over 20 years. My hair has turned white, and I know every inch of the road into the village. It's unmistakably for bends, but that night, after navigating the first 3 bends, I didn't see the 4th. Instead, I saw a straight road." Upon hearing this, everyone felt a shiver down their spine. At that moment, I turned to my friend, and, like a mannequin, he sat there unmoving. I asked softly, "Should we continue?" He remained silent, slowly raising his hand, pointing forward. Sneaking a peek at his hand, the only exposed part of him, those hands were to pale, devoid of life, as though lacking blood and nerves. Like the prosthetic limbs, he paused, casting furtive glances at us, seemingly searching for those bloodless limbs. I continued forward. There should have been another bend ahead, yet it turned into a straight path. I drove a bit farther, intuition warning me that the bend was near, and beyond that was the cliff's edge. So I hastily jumped off the tractor. At that moment, my friend actually turned his head back. I saw his face, even paler, his eyes glaring hatefully at me. After recounting this, my uncle began acting erratically again, calling me over and staring at me for a long time, then suddenly said, with an air of mystery, "I'll take you down below. Don't believe this tale, nor his expressions. He's lost his mind." The doctor approached us, saying as much, perhaps due to excessive shock that day, or maybe from a severe head injury. Further diagnosis is needed for precise reasons. After uttering these words, the doctor left, but just a few steps away, he abruptly turned back, uttering mysteriously, "Perhaps he's never been sane." A shiver ran through everyone in the room almost simultaneously. Later, during the police investigation of the accident, they found no trace of the friend my uncle spoke of beneath the cliff. Instead, they stumbled upon a set of human bones, long forgotten, belonging to a man.